Hey there, welcome to Eve News, Weather, and Sports. Today is March the 2nd, 2026. I'm Mike Azariah, and let's get right down to it. First thing up, the Community Beat came out on February the 27th, just a few days ago. Had some nice chatter stuff on it. The one thing I did want to focus on was Anger Games is coming up in April. And if you're going to put a team in, you need to do so by March the 15th. The other thing was faction warfare, which brings me sideways to something that was discussed. Somebody said they enjoyed my news show, so they were one of the two watching it, and but they would like to have more information about faction warfare. Now, the main reason I don't report on faction warfare or nullsec battles, except for the really huge ones, is I don't have the contacts there to let me know what's going on. Now, I could do things like the SOV map and just take a look at the faction warfare maps, and from that I could get a fair idea of who was pushing who and in which direction. So, if you'd like to see that, please make a comment down below. Otherwise, I'll keep sticking to the format I got. Go with what you know, huh? The other thing I wanted to mention was the asteroids and ice fields just got a big upgrade. Now, I understand that some American Democrats are already protesting about the ice fields being upgraded or something like that. But overall, they look different to me, but I'm not saying they look fantastic. I'm also not mad that they did it. I'm not saying, how dare you remove devs from what I want to see to do things that you want to see. You're monsters, one and all. I flew through a couple of fields, took a look at it, and said, yeah, that's pretty, and went on my merry way doing what I do in the game. The It does flash me back to a dev thing that I read a long time ago, and I'll put a link to it. Do not know if it's true, but according to some people in Halo 3, they only had one rock asset. And all they did was rotate and size it up and down to make all the different rocks in Halo 3 were all based off of one visual asset. And so that's going with the minimalist theory of these people can't tell the difference from one rock to the next. Why do we bother painting them? On the other hand, I kind of like a varied asteroid field, and I like my ice to look different. So, hey, I think I'm leaning towards more what the devs did here than what they did in Halo 3. Let's see. Oh, that was the last thing. This is going to be a real nice short one. Was somebody commented in the Eve Online forums that they found Eve boring. And it wasn't just one, it was two different people started threads in the general discussion saying Eve is boring or it should have more to do. One person's fantastic slash sarcasm suggestion was to remove a whole bunch of systems so we were all crammed closer together and that way more things would be happening for them. I know I keep making the joke about Fortnite, but this is really hard not to, where it seems like they want this giant blue wall to be slowly squeezing us together just so battle happens. I think they miss a key thing about the fact that Eve is huge and it gives you a chance to go and find things to do or a chance to go and have things done to you or trying to find that quiet place in an out of the way fashion. All are possible. I am not advocating for that. I'm not advocating for shrinking Eve Online. And I definitely am not advocating for the devs to answer the boredom charges because I looked it up and found that most people who pay attention to this sort of thing believe boredom is a function of the individual, not the situation. So when you say you're bored, I won't argue with you. Yes, you may be bored, but that's a you problem, not an us problem. I was, for several summers in my youth, a fire lookout, and I lived on top of a mountain with occasional hikers for visitors, but most of the time I was stock alone. This was in an era before cell phones, so I had a transistor radio, look it up, and uh, kept myself entertained that way. Brought up a couple of books, read them through within the first half month, and then regretted carrying them. In following years, I didn't carry as many books because I knew I'd read too fast. But for all of that, when I lived on the mountain, I was never bored. I had things to do, I had fires to watch for, I had a beautiful landscape, gorgeous view of the area on Vancouver Island. I didn't have chatter with other people because, like I said, pre cell phone, but I did have a radio network that I could contact other lookouts and that sort of thing. And we occasionally would exchange notes. But other than that, I was all alone on a mountain and I didn't get bored because that was a function of me, not of the situation. I know that tons of people these days would find that hideous and torture. Hell, they even make memes of it of could you spend 100 days in a snow-filled cabin? Fuck yes. Could I do it and you gave me $1 million at the end of it? Hell, absolutely. I would love it. Please tell me where I sign up. But we're talking about EVE Online. You can play the game and you can be bored. But please remember that's on you. There are tons of things to do in Eve. There are tons of things to have done to you in Eve. So if you're bored, it's your problem, not ours. Speaking of boredom and movement in the alliances, pardon me, yeah, alliances, the Mill Consortium Alliance is down to 4 people. And their main, I think it's a whole bunch of holders type thing, but they have pretty much closed up shop, rolled up the sidewalks, and went looking for greener pastures. All the rest of the transfers and movement in the alliance level and at the corporation level all look to be housekeeping, dead accounts, up 100, down 100, that sort of thing. As for violence, the sports, in Nullsec, it was 4 TAC Hotel Whiskey Whiskey Foxtrot with 414 ships blown up, 275 pods. In Lowsec, it was Amamake with 446 over 112. In Highsec, it was Jita with 503 over 171, which is a low number for the pods. I'm wondering what's going on there. NPCs are dying in great swaths in Lima X-Ray 5 Kilo TAC Whiskey with 55,976. That's in Paragon Sol and owned by Tracaris. So they are dying in great lots. I don't know if that's just the latest camping area, but it sounds like they're having a grand time. That's all I got for you this week. Like I said, if you have an opinion of whether you want me to focus more on things like how Faction War is going, please leave a comment down below. If you like the format the way it is, I also would really appreciate a comment down below in whichever this is. I put this out on Twitter, on YouTube, on Reddit, and on EVE Online forums, and occasionally I am tempted to make a bonfire and start putting up smoke signals. But until next time, I hope you have yourselves a lovely transition into spring as far as I'm concerned. That was the last thing I was going to mention, and I still got a minute. A couple days ago, there were 6 planets visible in the sky. I went out, spotted some of them, had a grand time with a pair of binoculars, just looking out. It was a nice clear sky. This evening, there is a lunar eclipse. I play a spaceship game and love that, but still fall back to I really love space as a whole in real life. I can stare at the moon and howl for hours when given a chance. And I might even be up at 2 in the morning watching the lunar eclipse if cloud cover doesn't come sweeping in and block out the view. But until next time, to your health. Blackberry Portamento. Ciao, Bella.